Hi, everybody. This is Mandy Gray. Welcome to my passion project. The subject is Yin Yoga and Meridians. So I have been lucky enough to be teaching Yin Yoga for quite a while now, and it's been or become a very popular class with my students, and it's been really beneficial for myself as well. I've just really found myself to be much more able to relax, able to come back to my breath. Meditation is easier than it was before. My body is much more flexible. So I believe that balancing out your yin yoga and your yang vinyasa practice is the best way to go about having a successful yoga practice, at least for myself. So I would like to share my Yin Yoga and Meridians project with you. The picture that you see here is a really nice one because it spells out the different types of meridians that we have in our bodies, and it shows you your anterior or your front view and your posterior or your back view, and everything is color coded, which is always helpful. So it shows your different meridians that run through your body. So let's start to dive into what is Yin Yoga, what is Yang Yoga, what are meridians, and I'm going to cover all of that right now. So first, what is Yin Yoga? So Yin Yoga is not a restorative yoga, but it is a slow, gentle, and relaxing style of yoga that has an emphasis on connective tissues. So your ligaments, your tendons, and your deep fascia. And these areas of the body really start to open up. These are your tightest areas of your body. It's unlike your muscles, which are really soft. These areas are a lot more dry, and being able to sink into a yin pose for 2 minutes plus really starts to help open up those areas. And meridian theory comes from traditional Chinese medicine, and that has to do with yin yoga. So poses, like I said, are held. You have to be in a pose at least 2 minutes, but 2 to 5 minutes is kind of the average, with a focus on stillness and longer, deeper stretching of the tissues that surround the body's moving parts. So those connective tissues, the ligaments, tendons, and the deep fascia. So some poses can be held for even up to 10 minutes. So it really depends on your practice and how much of a beginner you are, how long you've been practicing yin yoga. But the longer you can stay in your pose, the better. Not all poses should be done for 10 minutes, but there are a couple that you can do. So focus for yin yoga is placed on sitting or lying down in a passive manner, so not using your muscles. We're letting gravity play a role in developing a deeper stretch, and that allows you to hold your poses for a longer length of time. So just letting yourself sink into your pose. And like I say to my students, finding your edge, sinking into the pose, using your breath, and trying to give yourself that gift of stillness. So Sarah Powers is a pioneer of yin yoga, and she developed 3 principles. So I do use that. Like I said, find your edge, be still, and hold the pose. So yin versus yang. So what's the difference? So yin is described as dense, heavy. So think about the gravity pulling you down into your pose. Low, because we're usually low to the ground. There's a couple, really only one standing pose, unless you're using down dog to get into maybe your sleeping swan, but your dangle pose, you're standing forward folded. But most of the poses, if not all, except for dangle, are low, very low to the ground. They also describe it as hidden, yielding, feminine, cool, calming, mysterious, and passive. So yang is the complete opposite, and that's described as light, high, obvious, superficial, masculine, hot, stimulating, and dynamic. So when we balance both the yin and the yang, that really starts to form a full practice. Because if you do too much yang, that can cause an imbalance on physical, emotional, and mental levels. And true health really does come from the balance of yin and yang. So that passive and the active, the calming and the stimulating. I try and tell a lot of my students that, I teach both yin and yang. So vinyasa is my yang, and to try and come to, both classes and just see how you feel. Try it out for a couple weeks and see how you feel. And a lot of people have said that it's a really nice combination. So why should we practice yin yoga? So lots and lots of reasons why. Improves your joint health. So strengthens your connective tissues of the joints. It increases your mobility in your hips, your lower back, your pelvis. Your organs may function better. And this is because of increased blood flow, your deep, full breathing, full inhales and exhales, your heart and lungs, decompression of the abdomen to stimulate your digestive system. So in a lot of your poses, like you see here in this picture, your caterpillar, you're stimulating your digestive system here. And then it's also your health of your kidneys and your intestines. So stillness of the mind. We could all use some more stillness of the mind. So it's a deep meditative quality to help let go of mental clutter. That's another thing I tell my students, is just to check in with where they're at, how they feel physically, maybe how they feel mentally, maybe how they feel emotionally, and just to observe how they're feeling, inhaling it, observing, and exhaling it and letting it go. So just letting go of some of that mental clutter, just to give yourself that stillness. Stress relief. This helps to lower your blood pressure and it slows down the heart rate. And I actually had a student come up to me the other day and tell me that since she's been coming to my yin class, which has been, so it's September and it's been since May, and she comes twice a week, every week, and she comes to one vinyasa class every week. And she said that she's been on blood pressure medication for, I believe, 14 years, and she is now off of her blood pressure medication. So that was really nice to hear that maybe this played a part in that. Last thing, why practicing yin? Emotional healing. So like I said, observing any emotions that may arise as they move through the body. And just observing, not judging, just observing, inhaling it, exhaling it out. So Taoism is where this all kind of started, with the theories of, your energy and your meridians. So Taoist yoga is a type of yoga which combines ancient Indian traditions with these Chinese theories of energy maps of the body. So this is the balance of the yin and the yang philosophy here again. And the process of holding poses for an extended period of time is rooted in Chinese Taoist practices. So what is qi? So qi is life force energy or vital life of a living being in traditional Chinese philosophy, religion, and medicine. So qi means breath or air, and it's often translated as energy flow, life force, or matter energy. So just as prana moves through the body through channels called the nadis and passes through the chakras, qi is believed to move through meridians, so your pathways, and 3 energy gateways called the dantians, located in the pelvic region, the heart center, and the 3rd eye center. So what are these meridians that this qi is flowing through? So meridians are pathways, and those are the pathways which your qi flows through your body. So like in that first picture that I showed you, which I can go back to that here. So all of these lines that you're seeing, those are your meridians, your pathways that your qi energy runs through your body. And we're going to get into all of those. So these pathways control the flow of energy to and from various points in the body. And there are 12 main meridians. There are 8 minor meridians, and there's lots of collateral meridians. So a healthy and clear pathway or meridian is known to increase longevity and support proper organ function. But a blocked pathway or meridian, that may lead to an onset of a disease, and these blocks may result from stress, emotional issues, maybe improper diet, maybe not really moving your body as much as you need to. So we're going to delve into what all of this is. But first, how do these meridians relate to yoga? What is the connection? So yin yoga helps to open up those blocked meridians and helps to allow chi to flow freely through the body, which leads to more internal and external strength. So let's start with the lower meridians. So here's another really good picture of these meridians. Again, color coded, showing you your anterior or front view and your posterior or back view, and showing you your centerline meridians and then the 12 principal meridians. So we're going to start with the lower of the 12. And the lower ones are your liver meridian, your gallbladder meridian, your kidney meridian, the urinary bladder meridian, spleen meridian, and your stomach meridian. All right, so your liver meridian, let's start there. So you can see on the picture to the right of the screen here, the green line that's running up the body here, this is your liver meridian. So the liver meridian begins at your big toe and it runs along the inside of the leg until it reaches up to the liver itself. So this liver meridian is known as the meridian that governs your happiness. So when this meridian is out of balance, symptoms such as anger, irritability, maybe frequent irritation, stomach pain, joint stiffness, lower back pain, any of these can develop if this meridian is out of balance. So what type of yin pose can we do to try and balance out our liver meridian? So maybe an ankle stretch or a banana asana, a butterfly, maybe a dragon, dragonfly, frog, seal, shoelace, square, and swan. So any of those can be used for your liver meridian. And maybe you want to use all of them, which is absolutely fine as well. Okay, let's move on. Gallbladder. Again, the picture you see here shows you where the gallbladder meridian is. And you can see that this one seems like it has a lot more going on, especially towards the head. So the gallbladder meridian, that one starts at the outer edge of your eye, and it branches into two lines that descend along the side of the body, and these end at the big toes. So this meridian is known as the meridian of worship. And when out of balance, that may cause some indecision, maybe some eye problems, which makes sense because it starts by your eyes, insomnia, timidness, or even headaches. So what kind of yin poses can we do for the gallbladder meridian? So the one that you're seeing here, happy baby. And in happy baby, I like to even take it a little further. So maybe I tell my students in happy baby, we stay just in your traditional stance for a while here, and then maybe playing with the stretches. So maybe Ving your legs, maybe even coming into the legs up the wall while still holding the soles of the feet, maybe stretching one leg extended and bending the opposite one. So really kind of playing with your happy baby. Banana asana again, butterfly, dragon, dragonfly, frog, seal, shoelace, square, and swan. All of these are great for the gallbladder meridian. The kidney meridian is next. And again, you can see the picture here of your kidney meridian. So this one begins at your pinky toe, and this traces along the pathway of the inner thigh, and it ends at the tongue. So this one is known as the creativity meridian. And when the kidney meridian is out of balance, emotional disturbances may occur, such as anxiety, urinary disorders, gynecological issues, back pain, fear, and maybe even some insecurity. All right, yoga poses for the kidney meridian. Butterfly, that's what you see right there. In this one, they're doing butterfly with a forward fold. Caterpillar, child's pose, the dangle pose that I talked about earlier, the standing pose, dragon, dragonfly, a reclined twist, saddle pose, seal, snail, square, squat, and swan pose. Okay, the urinary bladder meridian. So this one is showing you the posterior view, but also the anterior view of the head. So the urinary bladder meridian is the meridian of peace. And this one begins at the eye and it goes up the head and then runs along the back of the body before finally ending at the pinky toe. So this one, again, is known as the meridian of peace. And when it is out of balance, you may experience some restlessness, maybe some more urinary disturbances, backaches, headaches, different mental issues possibly, and the disease of lower limbs. So the yin poses for the urinary bladder meridian. So she's doing the caterpillar pose by using a bolster on her legs extended out in front of her. You can do butterfly, child's pose, the dangle standing pose again, dragon, dragonfly, a reclined twist, saddle, seal, snail, square, squat, swan, and melting heart. Next one is our spleen meridian. So the spleen meridian begins at the big toe and it runs along the inner thigh. It crosses the center of the body and it ends at the heart and the tongue. So this meridian is known as the meridian of confidence. So when this meridian is out of balance, you might feel rejected. You might even feel careless. You might have some digestive issues or feel fatigue or brain fog, maybe even have some excessive worry. So poses for your spleen. So she is in saddle pose with, it looks like 2 bolsters underneath her for some extra support, but you could do ankle stretch, child's pose, dragon, dragonfly, melting heart, and swan pose. So moving on to the stomach meridian. So the stomach meridian starts at the side of the nose and it moves along the face before descending down toward the groin and branching off to end at your 3rd toe. So the stomach meridian is known as the meridian of satisfaction. So when out of balance, you may experience greed or stomach pain, maybe excessive worry or anxiety, maybe some doubt with your decisions, and even digestive issues. So what she's doing here, twisted dragon. So that's always a really nice pose. Ankle stretch, child's pose, plain dragon without being twisted, a dragonfly, melting heart, saddle, and swan. So those are your lower meridians. Now we're going to move to the upper meridians. So again, showing this picture here, showing you the anterior or the front view and the posterior or the back view, and you can see color-coded again where these different meridians run in your body from the front view and the back view. So the next ones are the upper. So the heart meridian, your small intestine meridian, your lung meridian, large intestine meridian, pericardian meridian, and then I like to just say triple burner for the last one. Okay, so the heart meridian. The heart meridian begins right where it says it does. It begins in the heart and it branches downward up the throat and finally across the chest, and it terminates at your pinky finger. So this heart meridian is known as the meridian of forgiveness. And when out of balance, you might experience insecurity, loathing, maybe even some heart palpitations, some depression, anxiety, trouble sleeping, or insomnia. So some yoga poses for the heart meridian. So banana asana, melting heart, a reclined twist, a reclined butterfly. And in the picture here, she's doing her Sphinx pose. So really trying to open up your heart, open up your chest. So anything that does that. Okay, our next one is the small intestine meridian. So the small intestine meridian begins at the pinky finger and it travels along the arm where it branches to go down into the small intestine and then back up the neck. So the small intestine meridian is known as the meridian of joy. And when out of balance, you might experience neck pain, some grief, sadness, digestive issues, poor circulation, any lower abdomen pain, and you might even have some poor mental clarity. So what are some poses for the small intestine? So banana asana, melting heart, a reclined twist, thread the needle, and bow tie. And bow tie is what she's doing right here. So you can see that she has her arms crossed underneath her chest, elbows lined up, forehead resting on a block, and legs extended behind her with her feet flat on the mat. All right, our next meridian is our lung meridian. So the lung meridian, it starts above the navel and it moves around the abdominal organs until coming through the lungs, then into the throat and extending out through the arm and into the thumb and index finger. So this is known as the meridian of humbleness. And when out of balance, you might experience respiratory disorders, maybe throat and nose issues. You might even have some sadness or grief, and maybe a false sense of pride, and ultimately possibly some depression. So poses for the lung meridian. So the lung meridian, you can do your banana asana, your melting heart pose, which is what you see her doing right here, and a reclined twist. Right. The large intestine meridian. So the large intestine meridian runs from the index finger along the arm down into the large intestines. And then there's another branch that ascends into the head. So this is known as the meridian of self-esteem. And when it is out of balance, you might experience constipation, sore throat, abdominal pain, maybe some worry, difficulty letting go, and even some feelings of guilt and maybe some apathy. So our yoga poses for our large intestine, that's the banana asana, the melting heart, reclined twist, a chest opener, thread the needle, and twisted roots. So the lying chest opener that you see here, that is what she's doing. So she's lying on her right side, her right arm is extended behind her. Her left arm is in a half bind. And she's trying, it looks like, to keep her chest flat on the mat there. So that's your chest opener, to really open up your chest. And it feels really good to be in that pose. The pericardium meridian. All right, the pericardium meridian begins in the chest to connect to the pericardium. And the pericardium is the sac that covers the heart. So it then moves downward and outward from the chest and down the arm to the ring finger. So this is known as the meridian of generosity. And when out of balance, one may experience poor circulation, heart problems, maybe even negative sexual feelings, difficulty expressing emotion, maybe feelings of jealousy, maybe even some regret. So let's see what poses we can do for the pericardium. So an open wing, a bridge, a wrist extensor stretch, and that lying heart opening twist again. All right, the triple burner. The triple burner, this one does it all. So the triple burner meridian begins at the tip of the ring finger and it passes between the knuckles of the ring and pinky fingers. And it then goes between the two bones of the upper arm, or excuse me, of the arm and to the shoulder via the tip of the elbow and back of the upper arm. So it's great to look at these diagrams here because you can start to really understand where it is, because sometimes it gets jumbled up in words. So just really looking at the pictures to understand where these meridians are and going back to the other pictures that I had showed you that are color coded. So from the shoulder, the triple warmer then descends to the chest to connect with the pericardium meridian, the one we just talked about, and then it ascends back up to the collarbone. So lastly, it moves to the side of the neck and around the ear before ending at the temple. And you can see where it ends at the temple. Right in that picture of the head there, it goes right around the ear, it looks like. All right. So now this one, the triple burner, like I said, it does it all. It's known to relate to intake, transformation, and elimination. So when out of balance, you could experience appetite dysfunction, ear problems. As you see, it goes right around your ear, throat problems, and maybe even emotional instability. All right, let's see what poses we can do for the triple burner. So eagle arms. Eagle arms are always a great addition to any pose, really. You could do your shoelace pose with eagle arms. You see here she's doing a butterfly pose. You could add your eagle arms onto that. Your bound angle pose, your bridge pose, any of those are great for the triple burner. All right. So we do have some additional meridians, and I'm going to cover two of them. So the first one is your governor vessel. And the governor vessel begins in the lower belly, and it splits in three. So there's two small branches that ascend to connect to each kidney. And then the third, the main branch, descends to the perineum, where it enters the tip of the spinal cord and then rises up the spine to your brain. And this branch comes over the top of your skull, down the middle of your forehead and nose, and it terminates right at your upper gum. So the governor vessel is known as the energy pathway that is the most primitive part of the information system, and it serves to govern the development of all of the other meridians. That's why it's called the governor vessel. It just serves to govern over all of these things, the meridians, the chakras, the organs, and the rest of the body's physiology. So it's quite an important meridian. The second additional meridian we're going to talk about is the conception vessel. So just like the governor vessels right up your spine to your brain, well, to your head, and around your forehead, down your nose to your gum, this one is right up the center of your body. So the conception vessel begins in the lower abdomen next to the governor vessel. So one branch descends to the perineum, and this was emerging from the Muladhara and ascends along the front midline of the body through the neck and chin to the mouth. And at the mouth, it's going to split and it goes around the lips before sending branches to the lower portion of your eyes. And it runs along the front and the back of your torso. So these lines contain the front and back of each chakra. So when we breathe and we draw our energy up the governing vessel and down the conception vessel. So that's when we are completing what they call the microcosmic orbit. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what that orbit is. So the microcosmic orbit, it is a meditation and it's used to gather and channel all stray energies in the body. So any energies we have that need to be more contained, and we raise them from the Muladhara chakra, which is your root chakra, to the Anja chakra, which is your third eye. So when the microcosmic orbit is activated, the reservoirs of the governor vessel and the conception vessel, they're refilled. And that's making energy available for all the other meridians and the organs, and which cultivates health and longevity. So how to meditate using the microcosmic orbit. So I'm going to walk you through how to do this. And if you'd like to join me, you can absolutely do so. So we'll begin in a seated position. We're going to bring our awareness to our second chakra, our sacral chakra on the front of the body. So let's bring the awareness to all of the energy in the sacral chakra. And let's exhale completely. As you inhale, follow the flow of energy down the midline of the body, under the pubic bone, to the tailbone, and then upward along the spine, back of the neck, over the top of the head, and to the third eye chakra. Pausing here and breathing for a few seconds. As you exhale, slowly feel the energy descend inside the face, inside of the throat, moving down the midline of the body, downward, along the sternum, along the navel, back to the sacral chakra. Pausing here to breathe for a few seconds. And as this orbit of energy flows, mentally touching each chakra on both the yin and the yang sides of the body, feeling the energy. So we take 2 to 3 minutes of orbiting the energy in the body through the chakras, observing and being aware of our breath and the sensations that we feel in the body. Only observing these sensations, using our inhales and using our exhales to flow through our microcosmic orbit. And feel free to come back to this, to review it, and really give yourself that 2 to 3 minutes, or maybe even longer, to come back to this energy flow, touching each chakra mentally, really giving yourself this moment of stillness and a way to feel this orbit around our bodies start to form, to replenish our governor vessel, to replenish our conception vessel, which gives life to all of our meridians, fills up our energy pathways. So the last thing that I'd want to talk about quickly before I show you my sources is each meridian has a time of day that it is most active. So I recently did a yin meridian workshop where I delved deeper into this, and the time of day that it was 11 o'clock in the morning. And so that is when your heart chakra is quite active. So we did after I discussed everything about the meridians and yin and showed posters and gave handouts and whatnot, and we practiced a couple different poses for each meridian, we focused on our heart meridian since it was most active at 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. So there's different times of day that different meridians are most active. So like I said, the heart is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Your small intestine is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. The bladder meridian is 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. The kidney meridian is 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I teach a yin class Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 and 5:30. So my last class, we focused on our kidney meridian. Your circulation, so your heart meridian, that is 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Your triple burner, 9 p.m. to 11. Your gallbladder, 11 p.m. until 1 a.m. Your liver meridian, 1 a.m. until 3 a.m. The lung meridian is 3 a.m. until 5 a.m. The large intestine is 5 a.m. until 7 a.m. Your stomach meridian is 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. And your spleen is from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. And then we begin again with the heart at 11 a.m. So it's just a fun way to, if depending on what time you teach or what time you take a class, to try and focus on one of these meridians and just to see what a practice on one specific meridian during its most active time is like. Some of these, at 3 in the morning or 1 in the morning are not as accessible, obviously, but it doesn't have to be when the meridian is most active. You can always focus on any meridian and work on unblocking those pathways, letting your chi flow through thoroughly through the meridians, just making sure that everything is open and we're finding some openness through our fascia, openness through our breath, and we're cultivating some stillness in ourselves. So thank you guys so much for listening to my passion project on yin meridians and yin yoga. These are my sources that I used, quite a few online, and then books that I would recommend: The Complete Guide to Yin Yoga by Bernie Clark, The Language of Yin by Gabriella Harris, and Yin Yoga by Cassandra Reinhardt. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free to ask me anything. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. And thank you guys so much again for joining me for my project. Namaste.